What is going on, everyone? This is Ninja Geek here. Welcome back to another video, and Call of Duty seems to be in shambles. Now, I know I'm not completely new to reporting on this news, and nor am I trying to come out here acting as if it's some brand new thing. Of course, this is the first time that I'm actually getting the chance to make a video on this topic, and most of us, if not all of us, have already seen the news by now. Call of Duty 2020 is in shambles, a quoted mess by the developers Sledgehammer and Raven Studios, and the entire project has actually been scrapped by Activision and sent over to none other than Treyarch to be developing Call of Duty 2020. Now, this is huge for many different reasons. Of course, in the past with Call of Duty, we've only been on a 2-year development cycle between Infinity Ward and Treyarch, but now it's been a 3-year development cycle ever since Advanced Warfare with Sledgehammer Games thrown into the mix, and of course we've had Phoenix and Raven, some side studios, help along with other games and help with the main games themselves, but apparently this was going to be Call of Duty 2020 was going to be the first year that Raven was actually going to be the lead developer, with Sledgehammer Games helping them as a side developer, and they had some major conflict, and eventually Activision just stepped in and put the main project over to Treyarch, and they're going to use some Cold War setting stuff, which is what they've been working on for the past several years, and they're going to use that to create none other than Black Ops 5 coming in 2020. This franchise is completely doomed, in my own opinion. Now, some people out there might think that this is a good thing. I've seen a lot of people talk and say that, oh, well, Sledgehammer, Raven, and Treyarch all together working on Call of Duty 2020 is a great thing because you've got input from the different developers. But here's my take on it, and maybe I'm just being a little bit too negative. But Sledgehammer, first of all, Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, who already have left the studio, which I think was a great decision, by the way, because I think that either them or Activision or something was holding it back until COD World War II ended up getting better with the next studio head in charge. But Michael Condrey went over to another studio, and he's recruiting members from the Sledgehammer Games team over there. So a lot of Sledgehammer's developers are actually leaving Sledgehammer Games. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening, exactly like what happened during the 2009 break with Infinity Ward, moving over to Vince Zampella and West's new team at Respawn with EA. It's something similar happening a decade later. And so Sledgehammer Games is losing development team members, and with the studios that they had left with Raven and the members that were left at Sledgehammer, they were already in some type of argument or disarray over there at both of the studios, so putting them together with Treyarch, I mean, yes, Treyarch is going to be the main developer now, but I think this is only going to make it worse, and here's where the opinions also vary as well, because I think that Black Ops 4 is a terrible game, and it's a terribly executed game, poorly designed, and part of that has to do with Activision and pushing the games out before they're actually ready, of course, because I feel like if Black Ops 4 actually had the time that it needed and didn't have all of the microtransaction stuff that the game already has in it, and all of that stuff that we already know about and are not going to talk about for endless times, the game could have been a lot better than what it was, but ultimately Black Ops 4, I feel, was a very poor game from Treyarch, counting on the fact that Black Ops 1, 2, and even 3 were very excellent games, in my opinion. You know, they all had their own problems and issues, but the quality control compared to Black Ops 4 is absolutely beyond this world. That Black Ops 4, I think it just goes down the shitter. Terrible game, and I wouldn't even think that to pick it up for any kind of price tag. They just completely rushed it. Activision's in shambles right now. COD 2020 is in shambles. Apparently they're gonna stick with a Cold War setting, which it sounds like a great idea, because it sounds like it could be post Black Ops 1, or even they could do some kind of prequel to Black Ops 1 if they didn't want to go post Black Ops 1, but either way, it's still going to be some kind of game not set in the future, apparently, according to the sources, which sounds like a great idea, but keep in mind, we're only getting the fraction of the time to develop Black Ops 5 as compared to Black Ops 4. And look how Black Ops 4 turned out on a 3-year development cycle versus how Black Ops 5 is going to turn out on this new 2-year development cycle between Infinity Ward and Treyarch. And not only that, but Infinity Ward's cycle is going to get messed up too, because now, if they're going back to a 2-year development cycle, Infinity Ward has to start thinking about their next game earlier, because instead of releasing it in 2022, it's going to be in 2021. At this point, overall, Call of Duty is just in shambles. I mean, we all know that it's not going to be the game that it used to be. It's already lost a huge fan base, a whole fraction of the fan base, because either free-to-play games like Fortnite and even Apex are taking over the whole kind of video game and the first-person shooter genre market as it is. Call of Duty is never going to be back where it is unless they do some huge changes, but this is a huge change, but I wouldn't even really consider it for the better. What I would like to see with Call of Duty is, of course, we're still waiting on Modern Warfare 4 to be announced from Infinity Ward. It's going to happen very soon, hopefully. And what I would say to do, in my own opinion, if Activision were actually smart about this, is let Modern Warfare 4 come out 2019, right? Maybe in 2020 release Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, right? Don't come out with a new game, just have Modern Warfare 2 with the campaign and the multiplayer as well come to the original Modern Warfare Remastered, so that it's like an update of sorts, or like maybe you have to pay for the campaign, but the multiplayer is a free update to Modern Warfare Remastered or something like that. Then in 2021, maybe come out with the next game. You know, they need to start spacing these games out, because eventually, I mean, what kind of Call of Duty are we on now? We're almost approaching the 20th Call of Duty in the entire franchise, and that's crazy because they literally release one every single year. And I feel like if they stepped back, took actual time to develop the games, wouldn't have a lot of the problems that they have in them today. And a lot of people have even said that the 2-year development cycle, the games were made a lot better than on the 3-year development cycle. And generally, overall, I would have to agree with that. I'd have to say, yeah, the games that the studios were making on the 2-year development cycle between Infinity Ward and Treyarch were better than when Sledgehammer Games stepped into the mix and they actually had more time to develop the games. But I feel like I do agree with other people on this in saying that the fact that, well, the reason why that's the case is because back then, you know, the games were, they had less going for them. There was less to make it a game. Now, there's so much technology out there and so many graphical enhancements and other enhancements that the more time is actually needed. Of course, more time with anything is usually more time with anything, it's going to get better. And so far we haven't seen that, but I feel like because we jumped into the next generation, which is the current generation of consoles, it didn't really get better. It just kind of like the quality of it stayed the same. It just seems like it got worse because of so much technology improving. But if they had, maybe like they came out with a new Call of Duty every 4 or 5 years, and then push that game with microtransactions or whatever they have to do or whatever, the games themselves would be solidly built. But right now, you know, Black Ops 4 was rushed into development because they were, with Black Ops 4, I mean, there's actually another thing that a lot of the sources and stuff that say all of this information that we've been discussing in this video have come from Kotaku, who's like a major Call of Duty source, incredible, and Charlie Intel as well. But with Black Ops 4, Kotaku is actually going to come out with an article in the next coming weeks as to really what happened with the development of Black Ops 4. And that's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people were actually speculating that Black Ops 4 fell poorly because they were actually working on Black Ops 5 because of this whole shamble thing that's had been happening. But it's really only been happening recently, or recently reported to happen recently. So I don't know entirely about that, but really, in general, Black Ops 4 just didn't have enough time there. It was over-ambiguous. A lot of things went wrong with Black Ops 4. I think I accidentally said Black Ops 5 in there, but we're talking about Black Ops 4. A lot of things happened wrong with the development of Black Ops 4. Not enough time. They didn't really have a great idea as to what they were doing. Every single team was being pushed around, and it was just a mess. And that's why Black Ops 4 turned into a mess. And I really only feel like Black Ops Ops 5 is going to be the same, or if not worse than that. Now, yes, they have Raven and Sledgehammer to help, and they could help out in different areas, but ultimately, if they release this game in 2020, Black Ops 5, I think it's going to be an absolute disaster, worse than Black Ops 4 was. And because I believe that Black Ops 5 is not going to be a good game, just because of this whole, the whole thing is crumbling down, I'm really only relying on Modern Warfare 4, which is coming out 2019, this year, and if that game is not good, this is going to really be it for me and Call of Duty. It's not looking good. Modern Warfare 4 is really the only thing that can save it for me. I'm really excited to see what Infinity Ward has been put up to for the last 3 years, and I really truly think that it's going to be a great game because, even Infinite Warfare, which I wasn't keen on, the gameplay itself of it, I mean, I wasn't really fond of the whole futuristic thing and the whole jumping around everywhere and the multiplayer and this and that, but the gameplay itself was solid. I mean, Infinite Warfare was a solid built game. I mean, I really had no frame rate issues, no bugs. It ran fine. It plays like it's like a great playing game. I mean, of course, it's all the gameplay itself is subjective, but objectively, it's a great game. I mean, I didn't really notice anything like that. Whereas Black Ops 4, comparatively, the quality control just is not there. So Infinity Ward, I feel like, can produce a great game, and not only a great game, but a fun Call of Duty game, which I feel like Treyarch fails to capture. I mean, the last time that I really had fun in Call of Duty in a Treyarch game was Black Ops 2. Black Ops 3 was a great game, but I wouldn't really classify it as fun. It was more balanced than anything, and with Black Ops 4, that game isn't fun, nor is the game great anyways, and that's why the two just go down the shitter completely. But yeah, anyways, at this point, I'm just completely rambling on. We all know the news at this point. It really shouldn't be anything new, but I really wanted to discuss it here in today's video, and I'll probably leave links in the description below just in case you don't know about this news or wanted to read up more about Call of Duty 2020, how Treyarch's developing it now. Activision put them in charge. Raven and Sledgehammer had the clash, and now they're working on COD 2020, which is supposedly Black Ops 5 set in a Cold War era. It just seems like a big ambiguous mistake. If that's what I'm being completely honest, it sounds like a huge mistake, and it's probably going to be one, but only time will tell. Anyways, I will see you on the next one. This is Ninja Geek. I'm out, and peace.